Welcome back to Truth Moment. I'm your host, Tierra Pritchett. I'm laughing at your face. When something is submerged in the fire, then its shape can shift. Yeah, it can shift. Welcome back to Truth Moment. I'm your host, Tierra Pritchett. In today's episode, I wanted to have someone who is easily one of my best friends come on to talk about when adversity hits you, how you can become your own adversary. And adversary is opponent. So if you think about life as a fight, as a match, as a contest, an adversary is the person that you go against. And you've heard people say before, a worthy adversary. So a person that is even worth your time and commitment of having a battle or struggle with. Brian is the epitome of going through things when you've seen your life one way or you've imagined your life one way and literally having to fight for your life every single day. So without further ado, he's my business partner, he's my brother-in-law, he's my friend, he's my little big brother. Brian Moore, welcome to Truth Moment. It's your first time on Truth Moment.
What up, what up? Thanks for having me.
He finally saw Truth Moment worthy enough of his time and his services, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so happy to have my brother on Truth Moment. Brian, for real though, no, thank you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. You know, I've been working behind the scenes doing the sound things
for years.
So yeah, I mean, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to.
Cool. So, Brian, like I was talking about in the intro, with your life being the epitome of being your own worthy adversary, tell us a little bit, my audience. A lot of people may not know your story. Okay. They may just know, okay, Brian Moore, Toya's husband, the guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are under the false assumption that when Toya met you, you weren't in a wheelchair, and then something happened and you ended up in a wheelchair.
Right.
So tell my audience, please, how did you end up in a wheelchair? What was your life like before wheelchair?
Okay, so especially when we talk about adversity, I kind of have to go back to, when I was in high school, when I kind of experienced my first real dose of adversity, and that was when my junior year. I had a really good season, played football, was a state champion in weightlifting, had records all over the state in weightlifting and in track. So my senior season, I broke my leg. I mean, I had never had an injury to keep me out for more than a week or 2 weeks. You know? So breaking my leg and being out for 8 to 12 weeks, which ended my season, and really dampened some of my offers that I had to play football. So that was my first dose of adversity, and it was like, man, it was like so devastating.
Yeah.
It was so devastating. We were, poised to go for a state championship in football, and so that was my very first dose of adversity, and I had to overcome that. I think without my coaches that encouraged me and to assure me and continue to lift me up and train me, it would have been. I don't think I would have been able to make it. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you go through that one, you come back, and then you're training. You were training for the Olympics, right?
Training for the Olympics, at the time, and going into my red shirt junior year in college.
Okay.
So this will have been my third year in college.
Okay.
So and I was training for the Olympics. I was already doing Junior World Strongest Man.
Okay.
And that's when my accident happened. It happened in that summer, going into my junior year, and it was crazy. I just don't, I can't imagine. I can't even put together like how devastating it was. Like it was just.
What happened?
Well, I had gone to work that day. Went to work. One of my I was working at Belk's distribution center, loading and unloading trucks, and which I did every single day. And came home, took a nap, and this had to be around about 3 o'clock. So at the time, I was dating a young lady named Tangi, and I had to pick up her sisters from school. Mm-hmm. And normally I would, but that day, her mom had told me that I didn't have to, so that's the reason why I had went to sleep. So she called me, asked me was I picking the kids up, and I said, nah, you already told me that I didn't have to, so I was good. I took my nap knowing that later on I was going to have to go out to go lift weights. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I'm going to get me a little nap in first.
Right.
So I was like, okay. I got up, got in the shower, and went to pick up the kids before lifting weights. In less than a minute away from my house, I hit a mud patch. They were doing construction on the road, and they left mud on the road. And I hit a mud patch, and me being the strong man that I am, I panicked, and I yanked the wheel trying to, get back in the road, and my car spun around twice and slammed into a tree. Mm. Unfortunately, I was not wearing my seatbelt, so I was thrown into the passenger side. My head hit the window, broke the glass. That's why I have a cut on my neck, and I have some scratches on the side of my face. And I was just there, and I remember. I don't remember ever blacking out or anything like that. So immediately, I was in the car listening to music. I was mm-hmm. getting myself pumped up, getting ready to pick up the kids and then go work out. And so when I realized that I couldn't get myself out of the car, I was like, oh my God, let me find my phone. Because I was like, okay, literally.
So you weren't freaking out?
I'm gonna tell you, literally, the first things that came out of my mouth is, I won't say it, but I said, OS, I'm effed up.
Wow.
That's what I said. That's the first thing they said. When I realized, when I went to grab the bar, the little bar that, you can...
Yeah, in the car. Yeah.
In the car, yeah. When I went to grab that and I couldn't, get myself out of the car, that's what I said. Because I could feel my body was limp. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my stomach, my muscles were just limp. And I was like, oh gosh. So I couldn't find my phone, and I couldn't get out of the car, so I turned my music up.
Wow.
Because it was okay, I may be here a while, so I'm just going to listen. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't get myself out. I can't call nobody. I'll just listen to music till somebody comes and get me.
I think that speaks to, and I didn't even know Brian prior to the wheelchair, but just listening to the story makes me emotional, because that speaks to your personality. You're very much so well, ain't nothing I can do about it. You know, just in general. And then having conversations with you, if me or Toya have come to you and be like, and then this and this, and you'll take it all in and be like, well, there's really nothing you can do about it, Yeah. So, wow, you turned the music up and waited. And you weren't freaking out, panicking, screaming hysterically, none of that. And
ironically, the song I was listening to was Patiently Waiting by 50 Cent.
Wow.
So so it was I was there's really nothing I can do. And maybe, I would say halfway through the song, maybe a little further down, somebody came and they saw my car in the ditch, and it turned out to be one of my grandmother's cousin's son, so I don't know how that is. But he came down and said, oh, you Brian? I was like, yeah, man, my car, I hit a mud patch, and, I can't get myself out.
Yeah.
So I said, man, will you call 911 for me? He said, yeah, man, I got you. I'm calling 911. I got your phone. So my phone had flown out. Apparently it was in the road. So he picked up my phone, called my mom, and then called 911. And then, so I'm still chilling.
Yeah.
And I hear him calling my mom. I hear my mom, oh my God, I'm on my way right now. And then so the ambulance is coming. My mom gets there and she's just yelling, you know, just asking God to, you know, to spare her child. And, you know, just, and after a while, it got quiet a little bit. And then I just heard her praising, like praising. So the ambulance gets there, and because it had rained, you know, it was kind of slippery and muddy.
Yeah.
And there was a young man and a young woman, and they weren't strong enough to get me out of the car. So my brother, who came with my mom, was like the strongest person, because, you know, we kind of live around older folks. Mm-hmm. And so my brother was like the strongest person that would be able to help get me out. So he comes into the car, and he's just cursing. Oh my God, man, what am I supposed to do? I said, Nick, bro, listen, I need you to calm down, man, because if you don't calm down, they won't be able to get me out of this car without your help. So I said, bro, I need you to calm down and just do what they tell you to do. I promise you, I'm gonna be all right. And like that, like throughout that, I just had to stay calm. I don't know, it was just a calmness that I guess it was God given. I couldn't, like, I don't know. It was just a calmness that came over me, and I've been that way all the time. I guess through all my adverse times, but the devastation that's at hand.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't succumb to it. You can't succumb to it, because if you do, you know, things just won't turn out, you know, the way that you would like for them to be, or the way they could have been.
Yeah. So
they got me out, and the next thing I know, you know, they asked me questions, and as soon as I get to the emergency room, you know, it's kind of like in the movies where, you know, somebody's getting to have surgery.
Yeah.
They put a little mask on your face, and then I just blanked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they asked me what happened. I told them I hit a mud patch, and then next thing I know, the little mask came on my face, and I woke up in ICU.
At what point did it register to you that this is going to be my new life? My life has changed.
Well, it didn't happen until after they had done surgery. So when I was in ICU, the only thing I remember was the fact that I could not eat or I could not drink for 3 days. So they were literally feed, like I had a feeding tube in, and they were in there. I had a morphine button that I could press and to take away the pain.
Right.
So I was also like, I would wake up and not know what's going on. For one time I pulled a tube out. Oof. And I was like, I'm getting ready to get out, and then they hit me again with the morphine, and they said, Mr. Moore, you can't do that yet. And so they put it back in me, and then so they gave me a little bit stronger dose of morphine so that I wouldn't end up doing it again.
Yeah.
So after that, you know, they did the surgery, and the doctor comes in, and my mom and my dad is here, and the doctor comes in and says, well, Mr. Moore, you're never going to be able to walk again. And so when he told me this, you know, I was like, looking at him, I was smiling. I was like, okay, I hear what you're saying, and I understand it, but I'm cool with that. You know, I think I understand. And so my mom and my dad was like, you know when somebody gives you bad news, somebody's trying to console you. They think you're getting ready to like lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they was like rubbing me, I was like, oh yeah, I'm good, and I'm smiling the whole time. And so they were looking. The doctor was looking at me like, I just told you some devastating news, and you just smiling like, I don't even know what else to say to you. And so yeah, my mom and dad was crying, but I was smiling when the doctor came and told me that.
So did you process it at that moment, or was it kind of like a, I'm gonna show you, or you were in shock?
I was in shock, but you know, like when it comes to like not being able to walk, it didn't register to me that not only will you want to be able to walk, but you're going to be paralyzed in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. So it didn't register to me to that, you know, that's what it would be. But yeah, I just was cool. I was like, man, whatever happens, I'm just gonna have to deal with it. I'm like, the things that I can you know, take charge of, you know, I'll do what I gotta do. But if things I can't do nothing about, I just gotta deal with it. Yeah, so and that's kind of how it's been all my life, though. It's crazy.
So you kind of feel like you were groomed or being prepared for, not saying that this would happen, but the fact that things don't really bother you as long as it would someone else. Right,
yeah, because I get over things a lot easier than most people do, you know, especially when when there's nothing I can do about it. It's just, okay, so what's my next move? Like, that's in my past now, and I can't change it. So how am I going to move forward and, you know, be happy and enjoy my life? And so like it didn't make it any easier now, because the shocker, like the biggest shock, was the therapy. Because
the physical therapy?
Physical therapy, yeah. Because along with being paralyzed from my chest down, I also have a brachial plexus injury, which was caused when I was thrown into the passenger seat. So what a brachial plexus injury is, it's normally like a birth injury. So when a baby is coming through the birth canal, if their arm is tucked in a certain way and they're trying to come through the canal, those nerves are damaged in the shoulder.
I went to school with a friend like that, and his arm was like that because he said it was an injury from when he was being born.
So not only did I have the brachial plexus, but my shoulder was actually separated. So I had a shoulder separation that I was dealing with as well. So when you have a brachial plexus injury, there's nerve pain. And then with the separation, it was just regular excruciating pain. And so that was the biggest shock when all the pain medicine was gone and stuff like that. So I was like, now I got to deal with this going forward. And I'll never forget when I was in therapy and that first day, you know, I was just trying to deal with the pain, and the nurse was like, well, Brian, we're gonna have to, you gotta move, Brian. You can't just stay in the bed all day, and you're gonna have to try to do something. Like, you gotta give me something. I was like, okay, I don't know if I can do it right now. So there was this guy, and I do not remember his name, but he was an older white guy, and he had a neck injury. And he had a wheelchair where he propelled with a straw.
Wow.
Yeah, he propelled his with a straw. You know, I got a working left hand. Like my right hand, with brachial plexus injury, like I don't have much use of my hand at all as far as function. But my left hand is, you know, so I can maneuver a chair. But this man had to use a straw. So he had to blow to move forward and suck in to move back, and it was like crazy. But every single day Every single day, he would come in and speak and with a smile. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yo, like, this dude can not even be able to barely move his head. Yeah. And come in and smile and be happy. It's like, yo, I can do this, man. Like, yo, I can do this. So it was like a switch flip, man. It's like, all right, so it's time to go back in training mode, and I got to overcome this.
Yeah. So, what does overcoming look like, for you now?
Well, overcoming, especially when it comes to being in a wheelchair, is initially is from brushing my teeth to feeding myself to grooming to breathing. Breathing is completely different because I'm paralyzed from my chest down. A lot of my muscles that, just normally for anybody else, they just work normally, but I have to emphasize breathing and just sitting up straight, because if not, I'll have back problems and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that on a day-to-day basis that I just have to like think about, like breathing and stuff like that. So yeah, it was just like starting all over again. It was like starting all over again.
You've one time, Brian, just since we've been in each other's lives, have wanted to quit before, right? Wanted to give up?
Oh yeah. I wanted to quit life, period. Yeah. I'll never forget that moment either. And it had to be maybe 2 months into the accident, after the accident. So 2 months into the accident, I'm home now. So I've been in the hospital for a month and a half, and now I'm home. Mm-hmm. And so now I got to figure out what life is going to be like, because now it's not a schedule. It's not go to therapy, eat breakfast. It's just, so what you going to do now? Yeah. So I came home and, they had to modify my room a little bit. So the way I had my room set up before my accident, I had all of my trophies, all of my first place trophies, all of my first place medals sitting on my dresser right next to my bed. So when I came home and I saw those trophies, it was a reminder of that's over. Yeah. It was a reminder that there's no more Brian Moore being on the top of the pedestal for being the heaviest lifter, or for Brian running the fastest 40, or for Brian, being all region or all American.
Hey, Brian, I was not trying to cry in this episode. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I mean that's just how it was. It was like, so that reminder that was over. And at the time, I had my brachial plexus injury, and I actually had to have a surgery to repair it just to get it to the function that I have now to be able to get myself in and out of bed. At the time, I had to use a lift to get myself in and out of bed. So I had one hand, and if I needed to turn, my mom had to turn me. If I wanted to eat, I had to be fed. So I literally wanted to kill myself, but looking at those trophies, I wanted to kill myself, but I couldn't if I wanted to. I was like, dang, I wish I could figure out a way to do it. And it was like, and you couldn't if you wanted to, so you got to deal with it. You got to find out what your life is going to be about now, because obviously that's over. Yeah. So what are you going to do now? So I decided to go into ministry. Mm-hmm. Just telling my story and telling about how I've been able to overcome, some of my obstacles.
And that's mind-blowing in itself, because, you have people who go through a situation like that and they want to say, the why God, mm-hmm. Why me? And then you became a minister. Yeah. So it's kind of like, instead of turning from it like most would, you ran towards them.
Yeah, because it was the obvious thing, because I know that even though, you know, my transition was so drastic.
Yeah.
It was just so drastic. But there's also people who are going through things that they may not seem as drastic to you, but it's just as difficult. And everybody needs encouragement. So if I can find some solace or encouragement throughout my situation, I can transfer that to somebody else. And it became infectious. And so they were doing stories, you know, in the newspaper. They were doing stories in the on the news, and people were just encouraged by my spirit, just from going through such a difficult time. And I was still happy, and I was able to, even though I had to go through that stage where I didn't want to live anymore, and okay, I got something to live for now. You know, even though it's not sports, even though it's not achieving those things, I'm still here. I could be so easily be gone.
Yeah,
so
for real.
Let's move forward.